Guys, what is up? Jeff here for One Fish, Two Fish. Today we are going to give you a starting point of a very large update. Now, it's not going to be an equipment update. It's going to be an actual display update to our saltwater system. Now, if you guys have been with me for the full 10 years, and you haven't because we've only been doing YouTube a very short time, you will know that I am notorious for setting up, spending a bunch of money, setting something up, and hating it 10 minutes after. This time, we tried to throw everything we could at our system. We tried to keep everything as top of the line as we could. We used good pumps, we tried to use good everything. And I'm still having a couple of things I don't like about it. So let's take a walk back and show you guys. So what we're going to do is we are going to do this with one of our systems. Now, we have not a whole bunch of these, but we have a handful of these systems. We're going to do it to one to start, see how it goes, and then we are going to update it to all of them if we see necessities to do that, if it works out better. So guys, these are the tanks that I'm telling you. Each one of these tanks is about 100 gallons. Very, very, very little saltwater fish in stock right now. So as you can tell, throughout the entire system there, there is, I don't know, let's say 30 fish. You can also tell a couple of things when looking at them, that the common denominators on them they're all bare tanks. There's no sand in any of them. There's no rock in any of them. There is very little. There is a couple of sort of hiding spots. There's also much more hiding spots I don't want to say have access to, that we use. We just don't use it all the time because for the most part, we use them whenever there's more fish. When big orders of fish come in, they go in, we use them that time. So when there's not a ton of fish, we have sort of hiding spots in there appropriate to the amount of fish we have in there. So the big problem I'm having with this system is it was very much set up for retail. It was set up to bring in a bunch of fish. It was set up with a lot of water to handle a lot of fish, and it was set up to be able to move fish quickly. I'm sad to say it wasn't set up to keep the actual fish happy long term. There is no rock in it. There is no... I didn't realize the amount it was going to limit us with doing certain things in these systems because we don't have enough stuff in them to keep a lot of stuff happy. Mandarins, for example. Mandarins are one of the best-selling fish you can get, but mandarins are not super easy to take care of. You do need a tank set for them. You do need pods in there. There are some captive bred ones now, which is very nice, that are much more prone to be able to eat pellets and frozen right out of the bag, which is awesome. But for our system, when we bring in fish, I would like to bring in 8 or 10 mandarins. We have the ability to bring in about 2. Because if they do end up staying here, and of course saltwater markets, you really never know. You know the basic fish, which ones are going to go and which ones are going to take a little longer. But you never know when a fish is going to stay here for a little longer than normal. And in that exact system that I just showed you, to keep a mandarin in it for 2 months, it's just not going to work. We're going to lose the mandarin, or we're going to have to keep dumping in pods. And the other issue with that system is it's so well filtered that it's tricky to keep dumping in pods, because basically anything that gets to the sump, anyway, it's just it's not set up very well for fish to stay in it a longer time. So what we are going to do with the systems that I just showed you, we've got a kind of a two-part plan. We're going to use one of our smaller systems. So for the first couple orders, we're going to bring in smaller amounts of fish. We're going to put a couple of these systems to use. So again, these are 3 100-gallon systems. We're going to put all of the fish from the order in here. We are going to maybe put, now this is a very large debate. I hate the debate because I can argue it both ways so very easily. I think in these systems we are going to slightly medicate the fish that are in it. And we're going to leave them for, that part we're not 100% sure. We're probably going to leave them for 1 and maybe up to 2 weeks. Now, you guys are going to say that 1 week is not a long enough quarantine, and I'm going to agree with you 100%. It isn't. If you want to do a full quarantine on your fish, you know, the average is around a 30-day is a 30-day thing. To be honest, full disclosure, we are not set up to be able to move fish 30 days. Now, not a lot of stores are going to tell you that. Not a lot of stores are going to be full disclosure and tell you when they say we quarantine the fish. There's a difference between quarantining the fish for a store and there is a difference between quarantining a fish for you. Most stores do not quarantine a fish, and I would say it's a much higher level than most stores. Do not quarantine a fish to the level that that guarantees you're not putting something in your tank. So with keeping saltwater fish, you're definitely going to want to have some type of quarantine tank at home. It does not have to be fancy. It needs to be water, and it needs to be enough space for the fish to swim, to move around, and just basically keep it happy for a little while so you can watch it, observe it, and make sure you're not seeing any ick or fungus or scratching or basically anything that can to show you that there might be some disease on that fish. So what we're going to do is we're going to go a 2 system. We're going to go into one system when they come in. We're going to put some what we call pre-meds in. It's just basically everything not super harmful that we can throw at them to cover a very wide spectrum of everything, disease, ick, anything like that. So we're going to put them in that for a week. Once we don't see anything for a week, now that may turn to 2 weeks. We haven't fully decided yet. Once that is done, we are going to move them over into what we're going to call their permanent home systems until they find their forever home. That's not the right word. Anyway, we're going to put them into a much better designed system to keep these fish happy. We are going to stop looking at quantity, and we're going to start making sure that every fish we bring in lives. Every fish we bring in gets to an actual fish tank home, and every fish that we bring in, we are sending out the door as confident as we can be without, like I said, doing a full X day. As confident that when we send it out, it's going, it's healthy, it's eating, it's happy, and you're going to have some good luck with it. So the next video that we do on this, you are going to see the first system is going to be very similar because there's not going to be a lot to it. We're going to quadruple the amount of PVC pipe that's in it so that every fish that goes in it has a place to hide if it wants to. We're going to put a couple of little Tupperware dishes of sand in it, so if there's anything for sand, it can get in and hide in the sand if it wants to. And that's going to be our system 1. When that gets done, and that is going to be a very quick system we'll do, then we're going to move everything into system 2, which is going to be a much bigger body of water. It will be easier. It will have a very large UV sterilizer on it. We're going to throw everything at that system we can to keep the water pristine clean. The other thing we're going to do with that is we are going to decorate the tanks. We're going to have some live rock in them. We're going to have some sand in them. We're going to do different things that will make it easier for these fish to be happy until we can get them into their forever tanks. Because we have a couple of fish that we see that when they're here long term, I don't want to say they're not getting the care, because that's not accurate. They're getting water changes, they're getting fed, they're being checked for meds, but they're not anyone's pet. And that is starting to bug me on a couple of fish. We have a couple of really nice tanks here that I'm kind of looking at in the corner of my eye that have been here for a little while. A yellowfin tank, a gorgeous fish when it gets big. We have a small one. It's just not that pretty right now. He will get beautiful, but he may sit here for a couple months before someone knows what he is and someone takes advantage of getting a cheaper one and watching him grow. So what we want to do is we want to be able to make sure that not only that fish is healthy staying here, that fish is happy staying here. We want to make sure that they're getting fed the proper diets. We want to make sure that they've got live rock to pick at. We want to make sure that these tanks are actually growing pods for us, so that when we put certain stuff in, angels, mandarins, copper band butterflies, stuff like that, that we are right now only bringing in very few per order, that we can house them and we know they're fine and we know we've got no issues with them. So guys, stay tuned for that. We're very excited about it, just because the care of the animal we think is going to go, our mortality rate for saltwater fish, we're going to look to just make extinct. We're going to look at when we bring in 50 fish, we sell 50 fish. So stay tuned for that. In the next 4 videos, probably within about a month, you guys will see the actual finished project to that. We'll show you guys a nice walkthrough of what all we did. We've got some other people helping with the YouTube videos now, which is going to be awesome. That they're going to be able to actually pick up pieces along the way to make a much more informed video for you guys and put everything together much better for you. So anyway, guys, very excited about that. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like the video. Any comments you have, post them below. We'll see you in the next one.